Today we're going to talk about something we haven't covered in a little while, and that's power. Specifically the all-new Anker SOLIX C2000 Gen 2 power station. If you see my other review videos, you'll know that I get my hands on quite a few power stations on this channel, and a few of them have been from Anker SOLIX. So when they reached out and asked if I'd be interested in reviewing their brand new C2000 Gen 2 station, I said yes, of course I would, because I really like large capacity power stations. So I'm really excited to get my hands on this one, and let's dive right in and start taking a look at the features. First things first. Before we get too in-depth into specs and start just rambling off tech information, let's take a look at the form factor and see what all we have here as far as ports, because if you're overlanding, off-roading, that's what you care about with your power station. What ports do you have? What can you plug into it? We're going to be working off 27% charge today, but I have no doubt that that is going to be more than what we need for what we're going to be plugging into it. But first off, you have 140 watt USB-C port, 140 watt USB-C port, 15 watt USB-C port, and a 12 watt USB-A port. And then down here, of course, you have your AC outlets and then your other outlet to plug in your appliances. And on the side, you have the port to expand it. It is expandable up to 5 kilowatt hours. That's pretty amazing, actually. Well, let's take a look at the other side. The other side, we have our plug for our AC cord, and then you have your plug for your solar panels and your fuse. Another feature that Anker is proud of on the unit, and rightfully so, is its recharging ability. It recharges really fast for a 2 kilowatt station. In fact, here in the product brief, they claim 80% in 40 minutes or 100% in 50 minutes if you're using both AC and solar combined, which I would imagine most of us are not. When I charged it, when I initially received it, I didn't time how long it took. I received it with 26% capacity, which is ironically about what it's at right now. It's at 27. I charged it to 100% on the wall power inside, and I want to say it took about an hour and a half to charge fully. And well, actually, you know, it was more like an hour, actually, because it was at 26%. It charged pretty quick, especially for a 2 kilowatt station. And we actually used it last weekend on a 3-day trip we took to do the inaugural run of the Monongah Halo 200. And this was what we powered our refrigerator off of, and it powered our fridge for 3 days and was still at 28% when we were done. So it handled that task very well. Hitting on the form factor as well is the weight. For a 2 kilowatt station, it only weighs about 41 pounds, which is about 8 pounds, 9 pounds lighter than the other 2 kilowatt station I have. So it is not heavy for a 2 kilowatt station. 41 pounds is still a lot of power station to be toting around, but for its power output, it's not very heavy. So newsflash, I have a YouTube channel, and I have a lot of stuff I take with me as far as camera equipment on the trails when I go out and record my overlanding escapades. So we're going to plug some of that stuff in now and see how long it can charge my batteries. USB output's only drawing 1 watt of power. These little action cameras, they don't take that much to charge them. And I do have my charger plugged into one of the AC ports right now, which is actually running to my cell phone. And it's pulling 21 watts. So yeah, we're getting total output of like 22 watts. This is just it's not even challenging the station, and nor should it with that little stuff. It says it'll keep running it for 16 hours and 18 minutes. And keep in mind, the station's only at 27% right now. So 16 hours of charging this stuff when the station's already 3/4 of the way depleted. But that's all fine and dandy. Let's plug some bigger stuff into it. Now, this is the thing that's gotten a few power stations. There's a few power stations I reviewed that you never saw the videos of because they failed testing, because they wouldn't power this. This is a Steinel heat gun, and it's a 1500 watt heat gun. So it will put a power station to the test as far as the lifting power that it has. Let's plug it in and see what it does. All right, let's turn it on. Low setting. I don't think the camera's going to pick this stuff up, but 180 degrees, 170, drawing 64 watts, 55 watts, fluctuating. Says it's going to power it for 7 hours, 48 minutes. Again, it's only at 27% charge. Let's stop messing around. Let's just turn it up to high. 480 degrees. Oh, power output just jumped to 1700 watts, which is well within the station's advertised capacity, and it is still running just fine. Yep. Oh, it did just drop to 26% though. So, but yeah. So let's see. It says it'll power it for 54 minutes, 48 minutes. It's fluctuating a little bit, but yeah, that's a lot of power it's being drawn. It's pulling a consistent, looks like 1400 watts off the station. So it's taxing it pretty good, and the power station's just kind of shrugging its shoulders. After throwing the heat gun at it, it doesn't seem really like there's any point in plugging anything else into it, because I don't have anything that puts out the power of that heat gun. The heat gun test is pretty substantial for me because, as I mentioned before, it's actually failed some power stations. There's a couple that I've plugged it into that claim they could handle the 1500 watts, and they either wouldn't power it on or it wouldn't actually cycle and start producing heat. So that's kind of like the big guns I bring out, so to speak, to really test the power station. And 1500 watts is well within the 2400 of this power station, and the C2000 Gen 2 didn't even blink an eye at it, and it only took it down from 27 to 26. Now it's at 25, but it's still been charging a couple of my cameras since I cut the camera off for that heat gun. But yeah, so it definitely will charge things, and it will definitely handle high draw items. That is not even in question with the C2000 Gen 2. So what are some of the other features of it? Well, we covered the ports. It has 10 ports, which is not a bad number. I will admit, I say this pretty much about every power station that I review, because I plug a lot of stuff in via USB-C. It could stand to have more USB-C ports. But it has 140 watt USB-C ports, so it charges stuff really fast. And although I've had reluctance to use apps to control my devices in the past, I am warming up to the idea. I know I've mentioned it in other videos. I don't really like using apps. I do find Anker's app to be very intuitive and very convenient, and that's why I have been using it to control this in the video. I do like it, and I'm just going to have to get over the fact that apps are the way of the future for everything. As is not generally the case with most power stations that I get my hands on, I actually had the opportunity to use this in the field extensively before filming this review. Last weekend, as I mentioned earlier, that we did the inaugural run of the Monongahela 200 in West Virginia, so check that out. And the intention was for this to power my cameras and our small fridge inside the Defiant. But because I forgot to charge the other 2 kilowatt station that we had, we got out there and we had to swap fridges. This had to go in Andy's Ram, which is right there, and power our main fridge, which actually holds all the food. And it did that, and it did that swimmingly. It powered it for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, most of Monday, so 3.5 days, and it was still at 26%. So I have no doubt that it would have powered it the rest of Monday into the night. Anker claims that you can power a typical fridge for 32 hours on this station, and yeah, it will do it. It will absolutely do it. So it afforded me a chance to use it ahead of time to see how the thing performed in the field. And filming the review, I know that it's going to work because I've already taken it out in the field and done it. And it threw everything that we had at it. And actually one night I actually used it also to top off some of my cameras. So yeah, it did the job, and it did the job very well out in the field. Everything we put this thing through in this video, it's still at 25%. It only went from 27 to 25, but all the time I've been filming, I've still been letting my cameras charge because, well, they needed it. So let's go ahead and unplug all this stuff and wrap this up. So what do I think about it? Well, needless to say, I think it's a great power station. What do I like about it? Form factor wise, as we covered, it is fairly light for a 2 kilowatt station. Although 41 pounds is light subjectively, it's still a big power station. It's still a lot of weight to be carrying around for its power output. It is light. And as I mentioned earlier, I have another 2 kilowatt station, and this one is about 8 or 9 pounds lighter than it. So any little bit of weight you can eliminate when you go out into the woods for 3 or 4 days is a good thing. What else do I like about it? Well, I like that it's Anker SOLIX. This is my third Anker power station. I have a C800 Plus and a C1000, and those power stations have performed admirably in the times that I've used them. In fact, the C1000 has been, up to recently, my main go-to power station. And the only reason it's no longer my main station is because I've procured a 2 kilowatt station, and now it's been relegated to secondary use. And this will actually probably become my main power station now. This is likely going to be the primary one we use to power the fridge and all that stuff when we go on trips. So I'm impressed with it. It's a well-made station. It's not perfect, and I will point out some of the stuff I don't like about it, which admittedly is very minor. Being that this station is geared towards powering RVs and large vehicles, obviously the emphasis has been on AC power. It has no shortages of those outlets, and as well it shouldn't for what it's used for. As I mentioned earlier though, I power a lot of cameras and things like that, and people who are going camping or overlanding or off-roading are probably going to be powering stuff like that too. We need more USB-C outlets. You could even stand to use another USB-A outlet, but give me more USB-C outlets. It would be nice if it had at least 2 more outlets here. There's plenty of room for it. It would be wonderful if it had them, and that would be really the only thing I would point out about the design of this station that I think could be improved on. So Anker, if you're listening and you make a C2000 V3, give me some more USB-C outlets. I really need them. Last thing that I think could be improved on this station, again, it's a minor thing, but I will point it out to you. The display is not incredibly bright, and during the daylight it casts a lot of glare because this entire surface is very glossy, and it does make the display a little difficult to read sometimes, and that is also one of the reasons why I went to the app. But the app is much easier to read, and it's right there on my phone. So like I said, I'm warming up to apps. But I do think that the display could be improved upon a little bit. It is small, although it's clear, it's crisp. It's a nice display. It's a bit small, and it can be a little difficult to read, especially in bright conditions. So those are my gripes with the station in a nutshell. More USB-C outlets, bigger or brighter display, and I have the display turned up all the way in the app, by the way. Which is one of the features of the app. You can adjust the brightness of the display. But those are very minor complaints. What really matters is that it will do what it says that it will do. It will power what it says it will power. It will handle the load that it says it will handle, and it does all those things, and it does all those things very well. I mean, it didn't even shrug at that heat gun, and that heat gun, it's failed some power stations. So that's a big test for me when I evaluate power stations, is how it handles the old heat gun. In closing, I go through a lot of power stations having a YouTube channel, and to be honest, most of them that I've gotten over the years I've sold. Not because I didn't like them, just because they didn't stand out. I got them, they did their job, they were fine. I don't need 12 power stations in my house, so I go through and pick out, okay, I can live without this one, I can live without this one, let me sell this one, let me sell this one. This one, I really strongly believe it's not going to get sold. In fact, I believe that this one is likely going to become the Defiant Off-Road primary power station. I like it that much. Do I recommend the power station? 100% I recommend it. It's a fantastic power station. I've used it in the field. It does what it's supposed to do. If you've gotten something out of this video, please like it. Please subscribe to the channel. And if you extra special want to be awesome, head over to patreon.com/DefiantOffRoad and check out what we have going on over there. I want to go ahead and thank Anker for sending me the power station. Thank you very much. And until next time, this has been Defiant Off-Road.